All right. Hello, everybody, and good evening. Today is Monday, June 1st, 2026, and we are here tonight to talk about this major Rico bust that's getting underway in Indiana. And this is referring to the Chicago outfit, the Greek Mafia, and all of the above. This is part two of our coverage of this ongoing case. And tonight we are covering Giardamos and Gialamas and the recent uh, discoveries that have come about as a result of the documents that are dropping in this case. And we have some new document drops for you. We're going to go through it. I'm going to show you everything that's involved, and I'm going to prove to you that we have feds involved in this, we have undercovers involved in this, we have local police involved in this, and we have a RICO coming down in northwestern Indiana. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned. And later in the evening, we're going to have a little different discussion. So I'm going to get us started. Welcome on in. Please get comfortable and prepare. We're about to get rolling with this Greek Mafia Part 2. All right, all right, all right, all right. Enough of that. Enough of that. All right. So welcome on in, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Look, we got a Monday night crowd. So happy Monday. Oh, pardon. Happy Monday. I have had my coffee. I've had my chocolate, and I've had my fill of drama for today. For the day. I don't know about you guys, but you guys seeing what's going on in this whacked out community? Boy, I tell you what, man. You cannot beat the whack jobs out of the Delphi murders community and Indiana in general, and also Ohio and Kentucky and California and I don't know, North Carolina, South Carolina, fucking Michigan. It's a shit show out here. But we got some things to talk about regarding that. Hey, do you guys getting your fill of full moon energy? This is the blue moon energy. Got everyone all twacked out, bringing the drama, blah 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 blah. You know, all of the above. So it's to be expected, and I'm sure you've all seen that there's a lot of people making a lot of noise. Um, so we'll let them make the noise, and I may be talking about that later on. But for now, I want to get started with the topic at hand, which is the Greek mafia stuff. Okay. Hey, what's up, Digital? Glad to see Trial Junkie and Digital and everyone coming in. Welcome to everyone. Um, Glad to see you guys. So basically, we've been very lucky to have some documents drop. Uh, they're just been trickling on down in this case, and with every, I would say, every fifth document, there's some revealing tidbits in those documents, and um, and I think the proverbial poop is hitting the fan. Um, and the fact that we have feds tied into this in a not so good way, local law enforcement tied into this in a not so good way, and uh, and a bunch of gangsters is pretty interesting here. And I got to be honest with you guys, it's going to be pretty low key this evening because I'm not feeling so energetic. I'm kind of drained. Been having a lot of work to do, but I wanted to come and do this because this was meant for, I want to say, Thursday, and then Friday, and then Sunday, and then today is Monday. I didn't want to put it off another day. So, despite feeling kind of drained, I figured I'd come on and we deal with this, okay? Um, and if you missed the previous show, uh, well, there's two that I would like you to see. Okay, let me take a look at what they're called because I don't remember all my titles of my shows. So the one most pertinent to this is called Major Rico Bust in Indiana, Greek Mafia. Okay. And then the other one is the one that I just covered recently last week, which is Indiana State Police humiliated as another dirty cop is exposed. So those two are the backdrop for tonight's show in case you've missed those, particularly the part one of this one, which is the Greek Mafia bust. But tonight we're going to be diving in to two major filings in this case, and these filings are going to reveal some very interesting facts to us. Um, so enjoy, okay? Enjoy. We'll be getting into it quickly, so I cannot waste much time. So let me pull up this first one. Wow, why am I looking different today? I don't know. Seems like my layout's not rendering properly, but I guess this will be good enough. Um, for those of you who are new here, hey, welcome. Please join the chat and leave your comments below if you're on the replay. But just for a little of your understanding, I am fixated on putting the proof on the screen about whatever it is I'm discussing. And so tonight, you're going to see here on the screen what we're actually looking at so that you know I'm not fooling you or making things up as we go along. I always love putting the receipts on the screen so that it's absolutely clear that I'm showing you the evidence of what I'm talking about. So this filing here, as you can see, was filed on the 22nd of May, which I meant, like I said, it's you don't understand the amount of things that I can never get to on time. So yeah, I'm a week late with this, but it's still very important. And I've been meaning to do this for a week, but it's been absolutely impossible to get to. Now, before we get started, I want to give acknowledgement and thanks to Miss Erica Morse for assisting me in obtaining some of these documents because these are not easily accessible. Um, so, shout out to Erica Morse. Thank you for uh, helping me get these documents. These are very important, and she may be joining us later. Not sure, but I want to let everybody know that it's without her help, I couldn't do this because these documents are not easy to find. Um, but anyhow, we'll start with this. This says the government's response to the defendant's motion to modify release conditions and request for detention, and this is under the U.S. versus Gialamas. Okay, this is Gialamas is one of the co-conspirators in this case. And this particular document we're looking at here comes from the Gialamas case. Um, and it says procedural history on April 16th, 2026, James Geraldamos and 21 other individuals were indicted by a federal grand jury for this district, which is the Northern District of Indiana Hammond Division, in a 28 count indictment on various federal charges, including conducting an illegal gambling business, Hobbs Act extortion conspiracy, collection of extensions of credit by extortionate means, conspiracy to commit money laundering, and interstate transmission of wagering information. Okay, now to go back to this footnote, it says the government recognizes that this motion exceeds the page limits under local rules. However, due to the voluminous nature of Gialamas's criminal activity and the need to properly present the evidence to the court, implicit in this motion is the government's request for leave of court to exceed the page limit in this one instance. Okay, also part of this indictment are three forfeiture allegations related to the various violations of federal law contained in the indictment. Defendant Gialamas is charged with the indictment, or in the indictment, as follows. Count one, illegal gambling business. Counts 14, conspiracy to commit money laundering. Based upon all the evidence gathered thus far in the investigation, the government objects to the defendant's request to modify his bond condition. Furthermore, based on all the evidence gathered in this investigation and as identified in more detail below, no conditions or combinations of conditions are sufficient to ensure the safety of other individuals or the community, and or to prevent the defendant from fleeing before trial because he is a flight risk, according to the government here. It says the Bail Reform Act of 1984 governs all questions of pretrial detention or release. Pending trial, a defendant must be released on personal recognizance, released on conditions, or detained. The government may request a hearing to determine whether any condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of the person as required. I probably missed a word here. Let's see. Okay. The magistrate or district court is not given unbridled discretion in the making the detention determination. Instead, the court must consider and weigh the specific factors set forth, okay? The nature and circumstances of the offense charged, including whether the offense or is a crime of violence, a violation of Section 1591, a federal crime of terrorism, or involves a minor victim or a controlled substance, firearm, explosive, or destructive device. 2, the weight of the evidence against the person. 3, the history and characteristics of the person, including person's character, physical and mental condition, family ties, employment, financial resources, the length of residence in the community, community ties, past conduct, history relating to drug or alcohol abuse, criminal history, and record concerning appearance at court proceedings. And whether, at the time of the current offense or arrest, the person was on probation, on parole, or on other release pending trial, sentencing, appeal, or completion of a sentence for an offense under federal, state, or local law. And 4, the nature and seriousness of the danger to any person or the community that would be posed by the person's release. Detention is appropriate if the district court finds by preponderance of evidence that the defendant poses a risk of flight such that no combination of conditions can reasonably assure his presence at trial. Okay? U.S. v. Porter, or Portes, also permits the detention if the court finds it necessary to reasonably assure the safety of any other person in the community. The latter finding must be supported by clear and convincing evidence. Likelihood of flight and danger to the community are distinct statutory sources of authority to detain. So either standing alone is enough to require detention. If the defendant is charged with the crime of violence, he is subject to a rebuttable presumption that there are no conditions that will assure their appearance and safety of the community. In response to the presumption, the defendant has a light burden to produce evidence that sufficient conditions exist. The burden of persuasion to support detention always rests with the government. The presumption of detention is not by itself an adequate reason to order detention. Instead, the presumption should be considered alongside the other sections. While it's unclear if the Hobbs Act extortion is a crime of violence in the Seventh Circuit, the Second Circuit holds that it is a crime of violence. In Nicola, the indictment charged Nicola with threatening physical violence in furtherance of a plan to extort the victim in violation of 18 U.S. Code, Section 1951A. Section 1951A defines several separate offenses, one of which applies to a defendant who commits or threatens physical violence to any person or property in furtherance of a plan or purpose to commit Hobbs Act robbery or extortion. The elements of that offense mirror almost exactly the definition of a crime of violence. However, the court need not decide the issue because under the Bail Reform Act's residual clause, Hobbs Act extortion is a crime of violence, therefore creating a rebuttable presumption in favor of detention. Upon motion of the attorney for the government or upon the judicial officer's own motion in a case that involves a serious risk to such that a person will flee, or a serious risk that such person will obstruct or attempt to obstruct justice, or threaten, injure, or intimidate, or attempt to threaten, injure, or intimidate a prospective witness or juror. The facts that the judicial officer uses to support the finding or a finding pursuant to subsection E that no condition or combinations of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of any other person, and the community shall be supported by clear and convincing evidence. Subsection E states that detention, if after a hearing pursuant to the provision of subsection F of this section, the judicial officer finds that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the appearance of a person as required in the safety of any other person in the community, such judicial officer shall order the detention of the person before trial. Either with or without the rebuttable presumption for detention created by a crime of violence, the facts below clearly support by clear and convincing evidence that the defendant is a danger to the community, poses a serious risk of flight, or a serious risk that he will obstruct or attempt to obstruct justice, or threaten, injure, or intimidate, or attempt to threaten, injure, or intimidate a prospective witness or juror. Therefore, detention of this defendant is warranted. Furthermore, pursuant to 18 U.S. Code 3142 C3, a judicial officer may at any time amend the order to impose additional or different conditions of release. Review of the detention release order are governed by 18 U.S. Code 3145, which states if a person is ordered released by a magistrate judge or by a person other than the judge of court having original jurisdiction over the offense and other than a federal appellate court, the attorney for the government may file with the court having original jurisdiction over the offense a motion for revocation of the order or amendment of the conditions of release. The motion shall be determined promptly. So, evidence requiring detention, nature and circumstances of the crime. The Gerald Damos gambling organization was an extensive organization headed by James Gerald Damos and Dean Gialamas, who is this defendant here, who operated this large-ranging illegal gambling enterprise. Now, focus in on that word, enterprise, spanning numerous states, and when necessary, used extortion threats to collect its winnings. As identified below, Gialamas also had a substantial gambling organization in Illinois, parts of which were conducted with the aid of the members of the Gerald Damos gambling organization. The Gerald Damos organization used at least 2 offshore illegal gambling sites to operate a large portion of its sports betting business. These sites were controlled by the main targets of the investigation, James Gerald Damos and this defendant, Dean Gialamas. These 2 individuals controlled access to these sites by distributing user access codes and passwords to various bookies controlled by Gerald Damos and Gialamas. The bookies provided this information to their bettors to place the bets. The sites are believed to be located in Costa Rica and Panama. Make a mental note of that, you guys. Costa Rica and Panama. Okay? Yeah, good point, Trial Junkie. Good point, Trial Junkie. The other major defendant in this case, Gigi Rovito, was released with an ankle monitor on $1 million cash bail, which means $1 million had to be put down for Rovito. How did he have access to that money? Who paid that? Okay. Yeah, Trial Junkie's on top of this. Thank you, Trial Junkie. These are the 2 guys from the group, okay? Now, these sites in Costa Rica and Panama used the names ABC Wagering and Garden City Bets. These sites are used solely as betting odds-making platforms and a way to account for all the bets placed and money won or lost. The organization pays a per-head fee to the websites for each username and password issued. The final money lost or won was transferred solely and directly between the bettors and targets themselves in person or via check, wire transfer, or other online payment platform, such as Zelle. Both James Gerald Damos and Dean Gialamas shared in the profits and losses of these websites and also share profits and losses, splitting some bettors directly between themselves. A second aspect of the Gerald Damas's gambling organization involved the widespread sale of line pool betting cards ranging from $500 to $25,000 per line, grossing between $700,000 and $900,000 each annual NFL Super Bowl game. That's $1 million, damn near. This involved not only James Gerald Damos himself selling many of these cards, but also many of his co-conspirators doing the same. Ironically, Gialamas himself, this defendant, somehow beat the odds and won the $250,000 Super Bowl line pool card that he obtained from Gerald Damos. With at least 4 bettors and bookies identified as victims 1 through 4 in the indictment. When these individuals could not pay their gambling debts, Gerald Damos and his other co-conspirators used threats of violence and extortion in an attempt to collect the debts. The most egregious acts of extortion involved James Gerald Damos and Basim Ibrahim, contacting victim one's daughter on numerous occasions and issuing threats ranging from paying her a visit to James Gerald Damos threatening to grape her if her father, victim one, did not pay. That's right. You heard it right. Thank you guys for coming in. Appreciate it. Gerald Damos was not alone in his extortion efforts. As detailed in the following paragraphs, Gialamas, with the assistance of James Gerald Damos, engaged in acts of extortion at least as egregious as Gerald Damos by recruiting and financing such conduct. Okay. Now, here's where it starts to get really interesting. Okay. Because we're going to learn a lot of things tonight if you stick with me. I know this is tedious, but please stick with me here. Furthermore, large-scale money laundering was discovered. Money laundering, okay? What have we been talking about in these crimes we've been discussing with Delphi and the like? Okay. Large-scale money laundering here in northwestern Indiana was discovered involving both James Gerald Damas and Dean Gialamas, as well as several of the conspirators, including Athena Gerald Damos, which is the daughter of James Gerald Damos, and Elias Gerald Damos, the son of Chris Gerald Damos, and a licensed investment broker with Ameriprise. Okay, remember they had real estate Mongols involved in this. They had federal law enforcement, FBI agents involved in this. They had local law enforcement involved in this, and they even had their very own investment broker involved in this. And with several additional co-conspirators, both charged and, now listen to this, uncharged. So, in other words, the 22 who were charged, we know of. Who are the uncharged or yet to be charged? Okay? So, in other words, we got 22. There are unknown others involved in this who may be charged or who may have turned and become state witnesses. We really don't know yet, do we? The evidence against Gialamas comes from the following sources. Now, this is where I want you guys to start to understand what's been taking place here. And remember, this goes back several years. You're going to really love this, okay? So, the evidence comes from these sources. Source one, dozens of hours of surreptitious recordings made by an undercover officer. Uh-oh, we got an undercover officer making recordings. Now listen to this one. Approximately 15 terabytes of backup data from the target's phones recovered via 30 iCloud Google Drive search warrants, including images and text messages between the targets themselves as well as the victims of their attempted extortion. So listen, we got an undercover officer who's recorded these people. We have 15 terabytes of data from the result of 30 search warrants for Google and Apple iCloud, 30 search warrants on these people, not only from the targets, but from the victims themselves. Okay. Is this starting to sound like a lot? 15 terabytes is a lot of data. Furthermore, we've got all the subscriber and phone call log records for, that's the word, all of the targets. Remember, 22 targets. So we've got 22 targets, and we have all subscriber and phone call log records. We got the phone dumps and the records. Numerous search warrants for cell tower location data regarding these specific targets. So that means geofencing. So we got all the geofencing. We got all the call log records from the providers. We got all the iCloud and Google Drive terabytes upon terabytes of data. And we got an undercover officer. And We got dozens of bank grand jury subpoenas returning revealing returns revealing the financial dealings between the co-conspirators, extortion victims, and the bettors. So they went and they subpoenaed all the bank records of the criminals, the victims, and the bettors. Furthermore, they have additional information obtained in cooperation with the Chicago FBI office, right? And the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Illinois. Are you guys listening what we got here? So let's back it up because I think the public would have a hard time conceiving of the massive amount of evidence they have already obtained. So back it up, right? Number one, dozens of hours of surreptitious recordings made by an undercover. We got 15 terabytes of iCloud, Google Drive warrants from 30 warrants from everybody. We got all the subscriber and phone call logs from the providers of the phone providers. We got all of the search warrants for the cell towers involved in all of these individuals. We got dozens of bank subpoenas returned with all of the bank records. And we've got additional information derived from the Chicago FBI office. Remember, I said this is a subset of the Chicago outfit. And we've got information from the state of Illinois, the U.S. Attorney's Office up there. So, yeah? Does this shit sound like small potatoes now? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. This is massive. Okay. Yeah, what's up? It's a new day. Yeah, it's absolutely massive. Remember, Delphi, Delphi, this is about um, equivalent to the amount of discovery for Delphi. You know, this is how much information they got, except this hasn't been whitewashed yet. Okay. Gialamas's co-conspirator, the other leader of this organization, Gerodemos, recently traveled to Greece and was photographed with another decades-long fugitive from Indiana, right? From the Northern District of Indiana in the Hammond Division, who is currently living in Greece as a fugitive, and that's Frank Kolentazas. Now they're going to zoom in and go specifically into this defendant, Gialamas's iCloud account. Okay. A search warrant was served upon Apple for the iCloud records belonging to Dean Gialamas. The search warrant recovered numerous images. And listen to this phrase, it's beautiful. The evidentiary bonanza forms the factual basis for the allegations in the indictment. Additional evidence was also obtained after issuing search warrants for the iCloud and Google Drive accounts for all of the defendants. Remember, there are 22 defendants. All right. For example, the text messages between James Gerald Damos and Dean Gialamas alone exceeded 900 pages of gambling-related activities. That's just the text messages. Now, thought experiment here. If we know there are local law enforcement officers who were involved in this conspiracy, and we know that there's at least one FBI agent allegedly involved in this conspiracy, and if they have gone and obtained all of these records for all of these defendants, don't you know that they're going to have evidence obtained that would prove and tie to these law enforcement officers who were brought into this? They are probably part of the group that is yet to be indicted in this case. Get it? Okay. Now, let's continue here. The following is a small example of the images recovered from the iCloud account of Gialamas. Okay, and I'm going to shrink myself down. You can see here there's various types of things from these iCloud images. Like there's a threat text here. See a threat text? There's contact info for someone named Campbell. There's Newso info. There's video of Mustafa. Remember, Mustafa was the one who went delivered the pizza to one of the victims to intimidate. We got image of Mustafa, selfie. We got Gerald Damos's financial info. We got a exchange of financial information between Gialamas and Gerald Damos. And look at those figures on the screen. We're talking about $500,000 here, $1 million there. Uh, Looks like 1.7 million in another one. Okay, we also got text messages from Rovito. Remember, Rovito is the other guy, Gigi Rovito, the owner of Capri Restaurant, right? We got text from co-defendant Campbell. We got text messages between Campbell and Gialamas. Okay, and you see we got all kind of shit. And it says, in addition to the above, there are 2,400 pages of text messages between Gialamas and one of his bookies. 1,900 pages of text messages between Gialamas and Gerald Damos. 400 pages of text messages between Gialamas and his runner, Gus Caporis. Now, think about this. This is just from the iCloud. So this isn't talking about what's coming from the cell phone provider or what's coming through these various subpoenas. This is just regarding Gialamas's iCloud. Okay, like I said, they got 2,400 pages of text between him and one of the bookies. They got 2,000 pages of text between him and Gerald Damos, 400 pages of text between him and one of the runners. In addition to all of the above, the following is even more evidence of Gialamas's dangerous conduct relating to his criminal activities uncovered during this investigation. Okay, check out this. 2023, Title III intercept of Dean Gialamas. In 2023, Title III authorization was obtained to conduct wire intercepts of Dean Gialamas' second phone. That's wiretapping. So they were also wiretapping these guys. They got these guys wiretapped, right? A review of the Title III 10-day and 20-day reports. These, in other words, you got a 30-day limit on the wiretaps. So they did a 30-day wiretap on Gialamas, okay, in 2023. And it says a review of the reports of these intercepts was conducted. Agent summary of conversation on March 26, 2023. A conversation occurred between Gialamas and a runner for Gialamas, which is runner A. A portion of that conversation is summarized as follows. Runner A says, listen, he doesn't want to see so-and-so anyway. Gialamas responds, yeah, but now he's going to blow up Gialamas' phone and send him a check overnight. Credit card, such a effing jagoff. I'd like to go beat the F out of him. Runner A says, leave him alone. Gialamas says, and then he wants to deal every time he loses. Runner A responds, just take the money back and tell him he better go play somewhere else. Gialamas replies, yeah, effing piece of shit. March 29, 2023, Gialamas told Better B, oh, no kidding. I married a Greek girl. My in-laws or mother-in-law was from Tripoli, and my father-in-law was from the island of Samos. And then my mom was from Agos Caprelli, and my dad was from Kalamata. So, yeah, I'm 100% Greek, and my kids are too. Later, Gialamas complains, yeah, Bank One is the worst. They didn't give me a reason. They just closed the account. Now I'm on the blacklist. I'd never bounced a check in my life. I was never effing late on a credit card payment. They saw all these fucking Zelle transactions or whatever. Later on, he says, I just got to be careful. I opened up an LLC. So what I kind of did is run it through there. I'm in Chicago and I have some clients in Florida. Florida. Hello. Florida. Hey, do we have a connection from Indiana to Florida that we've been talking about for 9 years? You know, that connection between Indiana and Florida we've been talking about for 9 years. Yeah, this case is intimately connected to Florida, right? I primarily do cash, but we ain't going to be able to do cash. You know what I mean? Better B replied, yeah, whatever. Wait, we bet pretty big. Later on, G. Lamas asked, what are you comfortable with? I don't want it to go like $1 million effing dollars. That's going to draw a red flag too if that gets that high. Better B replied, yeah, I'm dealing with that in real time. Actually, I grew up in Denver. We had another book in Denver that a couple of us had. It's just a effing mess. Later on, Gialama said, I'll set you up with 20 dimes, $20,000 a game. 20,000 a game. If we need more like in March Madness or something like on the Super Bowl, just text me. Later on, Gialama's texted, I got guys in Vegas. You're not far from Vegas. They can meet you and give you cash. I have like I'm sitting on 300,000 in Vegas and I just leave it there because sometimes people go there and I tell them pay this guy for me. That might be easier and it'll be all cash so there's no paper trail either. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So we got an LLC set up that they're running this through. That's to launder the money. And it's going back and forth to Florida and Vegas. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? What are we talking about with Delphi and the Florida and the Vegas? Uh, yeah, never mind. This shit ain't nothing. Don't pay attention to this. On May 20th, 2023, Gialamas had a conversation with Person A where Gialamas was discussing him having to pay someone who did not live in Chicago $100,000 on a sports wagering bet. Person A told Gialamas, so I'll tell you because I trust you, obviously, but the only reason why I get to do what I do is because obviously I have someone on the other side, believed to be a law enforcement official, a cop. I got a cop, kind of looks out for me. I'm like, let me know. So they caught like a package going to Chicago. Actually, they caught two packages. One was a money package, and one was like cartridges. Cartridges. Gialamas asked, your stuff? Person A replied, it's one of my guy's stuff, and then my other guy's money. Gialamas asked, why is it coming from you? Person A replied, no, it wasn't coming from anybody. He didn't even know the guy. The other guy that it was going to ratted out my boy right away. Gialamas asked, shit. So they went to his house? Person A replied, so my guy's a federal law enforcement agent. One. He and I grew up. I stood up in weddings with him. Like we're really close, you know, like since I was a little kid. So now he's a Fed. He pretty much runs a huge Fed sector in a large city. Person A describes what the federal law enforcement agency works. You guys hearing that? So this guy got a Fed in his back pocket, right? So now we got a corrupt Fed in the picture. But it gets better. It gets better. So he was like, hey, his partner caught the box at the delivery company. He told me, he goes, we're sitting on the delivery company right now. Sitting on the delivery company. What does that mean? The Fed is abusing his federal law enforcement officer status and he's staking out the delivery company. He's like, yeah, so anything going through the blank tunnel at the delivery company is getting checked very, very hard. He goes, sure. Do things get through? They do. But he goes, anything that comes from that large city and going anywhere else and coming in from anywhere else, he goes, like, we're checking way harder than we have in the past. Later, Person A tells Gialamas, just be careful on sending like any money or shit that like that because, and then the guy called me and he was like, listen, I could give a fuck about those. He's like, I'm dealing with way bigger shit. He goes, I don't make fucking easy for them. He's like, if you putting shit in your name and you're doing everything in your name, just don't fucking make it easy for them. And I'm like, Gialamas asked, so we got to stay away from this delivery company? Person A said, stay away from this delivery company and stay away from. Person A gives tips on how to avoid law enforcement. Person A says, the Fed, my Fed, right? My Fed goes, you feel like anyone's been watching you? I said, run my name. I said, and then check and make sure nobody's got an open investigation on me. You know, Gialamas, what did he say? Bookie B, he looked and he put my real name in. And he's like, nah, Gialamas, what about me, Bookie B? Well, I didn't want to give him your name. You know what I mean? Because it was coming from my name anyway. So you see what this Fed is doing now? Not only is this Fed assisting in all this shit, now the Fed is going into the federal systems, right? Check, 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 doing checks, keeping tabs on if anyone's on to these guys or not. Okay? On May 31st, 2023, Gialamas told runner A that he will tell collector one to go collect from a delinquent debtor and take 10% of what you collect. And if you have to beat the F out of them, beat the F out of them. I don't care anymore. On May 31st, 2023, a call between Gialamas and Better A was completed, where part of the summary of the call reads as follows. Remember, they're wiretapping this guy. Better A doesn't want to get cash from the bank. Gialamas tells Better A to write a check to Bell Noir, a Gialamas company. Better A wants to write a smaller check. Gialamas asks, where is the cash Better A was given? Better A has he and not going to the bank to withdraw money. Better A tells Gialamas to send inwards his way. The cops will be there and they will have a big inward party. Gialamas tells Better A he needs to get paid. Better A says he's trying. He's the one trying to protect us both. Gialamas tells him to pay him the cash. Better A says Gialamas just wants a pile of cash. Gialamas says Better A got paid in cash. Better A says if he has cash, he would give it to him. Gialamas asks, what did he do with the cash that Better A does know and he deposited in his bank account so Better A can withdraw it? Better A says he's not doing that. Gialamas says Better A had no issues depositing the money. Better A tells Gialamas that he deposited some of it, but not all of it. Gialamas says that's not his problem. Better A can withdraw it. Better A says he's not doing that, and Gialamas can send inwards if he wants to. Gialamas asks if Better A is paying him tomorrow. Better A says not all of it. Gialamas says he is done. Better A can deal with someone else. On June 2nd, 2023, Better A asked Gialamas, hey, can I write that check to someone else, Dean, rather than DAPA Capital, Gialamas' company? Gialamas replied, I already put it in. Better A stated, I went online. There's nothing about DAPA Capital other than you own it. It says it's owned by one individual in Sarasota. Sarasota? Wait, I thought his LLC was in Illinois, in Chicago. Oh, well, maybe he's got another company that he's running out of Sarasota, right? Gialamas replied, yeah. Better A replied, it has your name on it and doesn't say anything about what they do. Gialamas replied, say it's a newly formed company. Let's see. Better A stated, there's nothing, Dean, nothing about it. Gialamas said, dude, I already deposited. Better A replied, I know, but should I cancel it? Gialamas replied, no, just let it go through. They're not going to say nothing. Better A replied, Jesus Christ, Dean. I mean, like, we're going to be effing broke with this. Like, there's going to be audits. Like, they're going to want to make sure I'm not fucking hiding money. I'm going to want to make sure she's not hiding money. Gialamas replied, I don't think it's going to go to that level because you're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Better A replied, well, what is DAPA Capital, man? Like, what can I tell them? Gialamas said, tell them it's a consulting thing that you did for your business. You reached out for consulting I charged you to help you grow your business and save your business. Better A replied, a guy that has no money, I have no money and I spent $6,000 on DAPA Capital and I wrote a check. So you see, this is the money laundering scheme here. This is the money laundering wheels turning. Okay. June 3rd, 2023, Gialamas complained to runner A, deposited $5,000. That MRFer, 4 weeks, and you give me $5,000? Effing jag off, man. Collector one's begging me. Let me go to his house. I know. I'll slap the shit out of him. I'll go. Collector one, man. I'm trying to avoid that, man. That's a last resort. Runner A replied, I know, man. It will never work anyway. Gialamas replied, well, it might work, but it'll effing cause a problem. You know what I mean? Runner A text, you don't want to. You don't want to. Gialamas replied, no, I don't want to. That's last resort. Greek F you. I ain't paying you. S my D. That's the only time I do it. You know what I mean? Later on, Gialamas complained, Runner B sent the money today. You know, they effing closed my account yesterday and I went to log in and it says you're past due. So I called them. It said, you shut my fucking account. I've fucking been with you 10 years. Gialamas continued later. I can't believe you shut me down. There we go. Oh, we didn't get a payment today. I said, oh, the guy got busy, couldn't do it. It'll be there tomorrow for sure, I promise. They turned it on right away. On June 4th, 2023, Gialamas told Runner A he believed the bank closed Gialamas's and his kids' accounts down because the bank thought he was laundering money. But it sounds like the bank was right. So is Gialamas also using his kids like Gerald Damos is using his kids? The, the, the bank thought he was laundering money. Oh, really? I guess the bank caught on to your bullshit. Gialamas told Runner A that Gialamas had to open another business account and a personal account at a new bank. Gialamas mentioned the name of two banks that had closed his accounts in the past. On June 6, 2023, Gialamas texts person B, what are you going to tell him, bro? Had 8 weeks to put his shit together. You know what I mean? Person B replied, no doubt, 1000%. Gialamas said, so tell him I effing tell him you vouched for him. Person B said, 1000%. I mean, dude, you're not playing for fucking thousands here, you know. Gialamas replied, yeah, serious coin. If he had won, he would have got effing paid. Person B replied, 1000%. And he fucking did, Dean. That's the shitty part of it. Gialamas said, he'd been losing to the Denver guy. That's the problem when you play with 2, 3 guys, man. You go bad, someone's going to get effed. Person B replied, 1000%, but he'll make this right. I got his address information, wife's name. Not that we need any of that. He's a good stand up guy. He's just a cocksucker shit like this. He makes good money, but he makes $1 million a year. So it's not like you're getting stuck on. Gialamas replied, yeah, but if you blow fucking 2 million a year, person B replied, no doubt. Just a minute. Gialamas on June 13th, 2023 replied, told Better D is busting my balls. Better C replied, well, yeah, he just bought a brand new Ferrari. Gialamas replied, yeah, F. So he needs money. Better C said, uh-huh. Gialamas replied, are you able to send money? Better B stated, it'd be a lot easier just to kill him. Gialamas replied, what? Better B repeated, I said it would be a lot easier just to kill him. Gialamas replied, yeah, fuck. That's the problem. He's going to lose and he ain't going to have no money because he's spending it like crazy. Better C replied, yeah. I don't know. It'll be a while till that happens. Gialama said, yeah, $10 million, fucking guy. I'm a jagoff, man. Okay. Now let's move on. Number 3 here. Based upon review of Dean Gialamas's iCloud and 2023 interview reports from Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2 of Victim 1, the FBI in the Northern District of Indiana learned that Better E owed a large gambling debt to Dean Gialamas in 2023. So you know what this reveals? This reveals that the feds, I would say FBI, okay, FBI in the Northern District of Indiana was investigating this in 2023 as the victims came forward. And that's what's revealed in that highlighted portion there. That as far back as 2023, the FBI in the Northern District of Indiana was interviewing some of the victims of this scheme, right? Victim 1 sent Better E to Collector 1 to assist Better E's gambling activities. After Better E's gambling debt increased to about $500,000, that's $488,000, Gialamas and Prisoner A sent Prisoner A's accomplice to collect Better E's debt from Victim 1 and Collector 1. Uh-oh. Do you hear that? Do you hear that? Now they're using prisoners, right? Someone on the inside, that's Prisoner A, to send an accomplice of a prisoner out in the outside to go do the collecting of the debts. Prisoner A, right? Look at footnote 2 down here. Prisoner A was sentenced in 2019 for wire fraud and tax fraud conspiracy for his part in a $30 million Ponzi scheme where he spent proceeds to pay off his gambling debts and lived a lavish lifestyle. According to a Bureau of Prisons inmate search, Prisoner A was released in May of 2024. Although Prisoner A was serving a prison sentence in 2023, he had access to a cell phone to communicate with Gialamas. So you hear that? So this dude on the inside, this prisoner, wasn't talking this business over the prison lines that could be monitored. He had a cell phone in there where he was having these discussions to send the hitman out on his cell phone, right, to send the collector out to collect the debts. Right? These assholes didn't know all of this shit was being monitored. Gialamas attempted to collect Better E's debt from Victim 1 and Collector 1 because Gialamas believed that Better E was a fictitious individual created either by Victim 1 and or Collector 1 to avoid payment to them by Gialamas. Prisoner A's accomplice falsely claimed to Victim 1 that the cartel loaned money for Better E's debt, and now Victim 1 needed to pay the cartel. Prisoner A's accomplice did this to instill fear in Victim 1 to extract money from Victim 1 and Collector 1. So you see, in 2023, Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2, so now we got another FBI office somewhere or some other agency. So this is not the Northeastern District FBI. Now it's got another federal law enforcement agency who's interviewing Victim 1, who advised he was a previous bookmaker convicted in 2020 for gambling and served 12 months. Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2 is located outside the Northern District of Indiana. Victim 1 knew Gialamas for 30 years and that Gialamas was a bookmaker. In the past, Gialamas and Victim 1 would lay off bets with each other. In April 2023, Victim 1 opened 2 gambling accounts with Gialamas on Garden City Bets for friends. Gialamas told Victim 1 to contact Collector 1, who meets with bettors and pays and collects money for Gialamas. In or about August 2023, a person identifying himself as Better E came into the business owned by Victim 1 and asked if he could bet with Victim 1. Victim 1 claimed he declined and gave Better E's phone number to Collector 1. Victim 1 did not know Better E and told Collector 1 he should do his due diligence. Afterwards, Collector 1 told Victim 1 that on one occasion, Collector 1 met and paid Better E winnings while at Capri Restaurant. Now, what is Capri Restaurant? Capri Restaurant is the restaurant owned by Filippo Rovito or Gigi Rovito, one of the major defendants in this case. So, in other words, they're transacting business at Capri, okay? Eventually, Better E owed over $400,000. Once Better E began losing, Better E stopped communicating with Collector One. Based on the review of Gialamas's iCloud on October 31st, 2023, an alleged driver for Better E sent Collector One a text message that Collector One forwarded to Gialamas as follows. Hey, Collector One. Unfortunately, this is a bad situation. Better E has had a bad legal case going on. He doesn't want to turn on you or your son in to lessen his sentence. I highly suggest to move on quietly because everything has been recorded but not turned in. Do yourself a favor and move on, or this will get ugly. He's turned in several other book rings. He doesn't want to use you. He feels horrible. Let it be. Gialamas replied to Collector One, tell him go fuck himself. I want my money. Collector One forwarded a screenshot of the message to Gialamas and text, call him. Gialamas replied, he's right about one thing. It's going to get ugly. Okay. So you see that? That's interesting. So he's using the threat of snitching or flipping on him to get out of paying that debt. And it doesn't work because Gialamas says, it's going to get ugly. Tell him fuck off. On November 1st, 2023 at 7:38 a.m., Collector One called James Gerald Damos for 122 seconds. At 8:37 a.m., Gerald Damos asked Gialamas, you okay? Gialamas replied, no, I'm totally effed. At 8:52 a.m., Gerald Damos texted Gialamas, he called me. On November 2nd, Collector One called James for 65 seconds. At 2:35 and 2:36, Gialamas text prisoner A, the sad thing is I think my good friend, Collector One, set me up. He was blowing up my phone. We have to pay him like I owed him the money, and now he's like I can't find him. You know who your real friends are when it comes to money. I trusted him. He's supposed to be my good friend. Prisoner A replied, well, then he has to pay. It's how it goes, man. When I vouch, I pay. That's what people don't understand about all this. Gialamas replied, exactly. I'm done with him. He effed me royally. Prisoner A replied, well, you need to have people go see him, take his house, car, whatever. This shit is no joke. Can't do shit like that, Gialamas responded, replying, yep, sending a picture of Better E's driver's license saying, this is the guy that supposedly was playing. You know him by any chance? Prisoner A replied, no, but I can look into it. I still got a few guys that I talked to that helped me out here and there. I was good out there, so people look out for me. Remember, this is the prisoner. I can ask one person. I'm sure he'll know. I'll let you know. Gialamas replied, thank you. I will take care of him and you if he can get it. 242 and 243, Gialamas texts the prisoner. He owes me $488,000 after I paid him $385,000. If you can get it, keep $100,000 and give me the rest. I paid this motherfucker $385,000. Prisoner A replied, all right, I'm going to make some calls, talk to a few boys from Chicago and Vegas. I'm going to call a few boys from Chicago and Vegas. Later on, Prisoner A told Gialamas that someone in Vegas was asking Prisoner A about Gialamas. Prisoner A texts, you see, people still run shit by me while I'm locked up. Prisoner A asked, who introduced you to him? It'll help me find the source. I got nothing better to do, so I'll find him. Gialamas replied, Collector One, that's supposed to be my friend. Gialamas sent Prisoner A the screenshot of the message from Better E's alleged driver. Gialamas added, that's the text he allegedly sent my buddy. It appears My buddy set me up. Prisoner A asks, I'm going to look him up on Pacer and see if the dude has a case pending or anything under that name. Gilamas asked Prisoner A, you think your people can help? Prisoner A replied, they can, but only issue we have here is if your buddy set it all up and is not real, then basically you got to deal with your buddy. But if dude really gambled and did all this, then he owes. And if he has money, then they will get it for damn sure. Gialamas text, I think they can cut it up together. I think the other guy really made bets with the intention that if they lose, don't pay. And of course, he won like 4 weeks in a row. Prisoner A text, waiting on response. And then redacted at gmail.com, Zell. And I'm waiting for a call back from the desert. And he told me he will call me tonight with families. Gilamas replied, thanks. I'll Zell tomorrow when I get paid from work. 10:45 p.m., Prisoner A sent Gialamas a screenshot and advised, they playing games with you, so it seems your boy is in on it. All right. So this prisoner on the inside, he's running shit in this operation, you know. He's also got a Zelle going where he's collecting $100,000 for helping collect these debts or facilitating this. Darn, pretty thirsty. On November 3rd, 2023, at 6:58 a.m., Gialamas forwarded the above screenshot to James Gerald Damos. At 7:33, Gialamas texts Better F, call victim 1 today and find out, please, and forwarded Better F the above screenshot sent by Prisoner A. Gialamas sent Better F a photo of Better E's driver's license. Ask him if he knows this guy. At 7:58 and 7:59, Better F texts, wow, the fox is on. This was pre-planned. Gialamas replied, yep, no good, motherfucker. At 10:34 a.m., Prisoner A texts, just please text me when that Zelle is done so I can check it, and then I'm going to charge my phone and talk to a few people to help you resolve this situation. Remember, this is the prisoner. A review of the records from Wells Fargo showed for Gialamas a $1,000 Zelle payment to Prisoner A's first name. At 3:44 p.m., Prisoner A texts Gialamas the following screenshot of a conversation with Better E's driver, referring to the last message. Told Gialamas, that's what I wrote. Gialamas replied, perfect. Let's see if they respond. 4:42, Jared Damos texts Gialamas a close-up picture of Better E's BMV license, and he had to live here then, or there then. Later, Jared Damos texts the driver's license again. He looked familiar? Of course, I thought he was gone. Who is that? Later, Jared Damos texts Gialamas the driver's license and look familiar? Don't know him. I've never heard of him. It appears that these were forwarded texts to Gialamas that Jared Damos received in Jared Damos' efforts to locate Better E for Gialamas. About 2 hours later, Jared Damos texts Gialamas, what's his last name? Gialamas replied with the collector one's first and last name. About an hour and a half later, Jared Damos texts an image of a man at a restaurant. And then the video of that same person sitting at the bar with a woman. Based upon comparing the picture and a video to a picture I found on the inside of the restaurant, I believe this photo and video were taken at Rovito's Capri restaurant in Burr Ridge. And that's bringing the Capri restaurant and Rovito into it. On November 4th, 2023, at 8:27 a.m., Better F texts Gialamas, I'm going to go there today, and I told him I need some brick chickens. And I will ask him then. Gialamas replied, call me. I reached out to someone yesterday and got info. Better F asked, What did they say? Gialamas replied, call me. At 7:12 p.m., Gialamas asked Better F, did you talk to him? Better F replied, sorry, I was busy. No clue who it is. It's all bullshit. Gialamas replied, I knew it. Did you mention my name? Better F replied, no, not at all. Gialamas replied, call me. On November 5th, Gerodemos texts Gialamas a YouTube video entitled Goodfellas, Air France Robbery. And Collector 1, Gialamas replied, yup. On November 6, 2023, Prisoner A texts Gialamas, let's recover some money. At 8:41, Gerodemos texts Gialamas, send me a picture of him. On November 7th, Prisoner A texts Gialamas, I spoke to multiple guys that handle situations like this. They said it's not difficult, but they need to be able to find the guy. That's first. And they're not just going to work on a finder's fee. They will want some up front, and when they collect, the rest. They are honorable. It's what they do. Your buddy's going to have to help them find him, and when they do, he's going to definitely pay. That, they said, is for sure. On November 8, 2023, Prisoner A texts Gialamas again. Text me when you have time and we can go over everything. I've spoken to someone that will do what's needed, but I need to discuss it with you first. November 9, Prisoner A texts Gialamas. I have the plan you need. Gialamas replies, okay. Prisoner A texts on November 10th. Let me know when you want to talk or got time. November 11th, Gialamas asked Prisoner A, are you free? Prisoner A replied, about 15 minutes waiting for count to pass. 4:09, Prisoner A texts Gialamas, he will fly out on Tuesday and then handle everything with you. Just make sure he don't fly in for nothing, Dean. He is coming to get this resolved for you. Zelle info, send 1,500 now. Send me a screenshot. He's going to book a car and hotel and get this resolved for you. Gialamas replied, okay. Walking dog will send shortly. Prisoner A said, okay. He said he'll stay for a week or more if needed to get it collected. He said not his first rodeo. Gialamas liked this message. Prisoner A added, he said don't be surprised when you find out there was no guy and your buddy took the money, but said before he leaves back home, you know where your cash really went. Gialamas replied, we need to get it as well. Prisoner A replied, listen, move fast, because the longer it takes, the faster he's spending money. Let me know. Once the Zelle is sent, I'll have the girl get it and send it to him so he can do all the arrangements. He'll fly in Tuesday morning, get a car out there, and you guys will set up the meeting and everything. He's ready. He's a very nice guy. He's going to get it handled. At 5:14 p.m., Gialamas sent the screenshot to Prisoner A of a payment of the $1,500. See how that works? Prisoner A replied, okay, let me tell him 1 second. Gialamas text, please confirm he got it. Prisoner A replied, yeah, hang on, received. He will fly in on Tuesday. November 13th, 2023. Gialamas asked Prisoner A, is your guy going to reach out to me so I can set up the meeting with the collector? 1. Prisoner A replied, yeah, I'll get everything arranged for you today, tomorrow. He'll be in Chicago. Gialamas will like the message. Prisoner A text, set up the app called Telegram. These dudes think they're sneaky with the Telegram. Gialamas replied, it won't let me do it on this phone. Let me know so I can set up a meeting. 4:14, Prisoner A replied, okay, I'll give him your number. He wants to meet with you first, so you go over everything. Then you both will go. Gialamas replied, yes. Prisoner A forwarded a text to Gialamas. I'll set up the meeting around 8:39, depending on the flight I get. Prisoner A then texts, that's what he said. Gialamas asked, AM, PM. Prisoner A replied, PM. November 14th, next day. 9:24 a.m., Prisoner A's accomplice using his own phone texts Gialamas. This is Prisoner A's friend. Let's meet tonight around 9 in your area. You and I only. Gialamas replied, okay, sounds good. Prisoner A's accomplice replied, Portillo's parking lot. Hey, I've been there. I've been there. Damn good food. Damn good food. Portillo's parking lot. Gilamas replied, okay, let's meet at the Portillo's of Route 49 and I 88 9. Prisoner's accomplice asked, Jefferson Ave or Ogden? Gilamas replied with a Google Maps link. Prisoner's accomplice, okay, can you download Telegram? Gilamas says, I can't. This is my work phone and it doesn't allow me to download certain apps. 116, prisoner A texts Gialamas, everything is a go. He's en route to Chicago. Now, he's told me he's going to meet you tonight and said to have his 5K ready. And then he'll do everything possible to get your money and he will text you when he arrives. Gialamas replied, okay. Prisoner A texts, hey, so do not mention any business that me and you have done. Gialamas replied, I won't. Prisoner A texts, that you pay me anything or nothing at all. Say me and say you and me are all good. That's all he needs to know from this aspect. He's on the plane now. Gialama says, if he asks how we know each other, what should I say? Prisoner A replied, he'll do everything to help you collect. He knows about everything. He won't ask that he knows. Just talk about the business with Better E and Collector 1. Prisoner A texts, give him all the details so he has no surprises. I got you on this, man. If he collects, you're going to get yours. You got my word. He owes me a lot of big favors. Trust me when I tell you, they all owe me. Gialamas replies, okay, thank you. If he collects, I'll take care of you big time. Prisoner A, no problem. Let's work on it. And he is just there to get things situated and see who is who and what is what to know how to proceed. If there's money to collect, it will be collected. At 8:51, Prisoner A's accomplice texts Gialamas, I'm here. I'm on my way, 15, 20 minutes. At 8:55, Gialamas texts Prisoner A's accomplice, here. Prisoner A's accomplice says, I'm inside. As soon as you walk in, I'm to the right, blue vest. Gialamas replies, okay. These were the last texts visible, with Prisoner A's accomplice lending itself to the conclusion that when they met, Prisoner A's accomplice likely showed Gialamas how to communicate on Telegram or by some other means to avoid law enforcement detection. On November 15th, 2023, according to Victim One's interview to Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2, remember, this is the one outside of the Northern District of Indiana, an unidentified male believed to be Prisoner A's accomplice in a white Tesla came to Victim One's business. Prisoner A's accomplice in the white Tesla told Victim One that Gialamas borrowed money from the cartel to pay off Better E's winnings. Now that Better E was gone, Victim One owed $400,000 to the cartel. Prisoner A's accomplice said the cartel was now involved, so the Victim One would need to pay the money. Okay. Woo! That's a lot to wrap your head around, isn't it? That's a lot of fuckery to wrap the head around. But essentially what we get here, Gialamas, somebody in a prison, serving time for money laundering, this sort of thing. He's got some guy that's his strong arm man, his tough guy. He's going to take care of all this shit, right? So what happens, he arranges a meeting in Chicago to meet up with him, get the guy's picture, get all the info he can, set up the Telegram messaging, blah, 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 right? He's going to get paid $5,000. Remember, he's already got $1,500. So now he's going to get the $5,000. And he's going to put hands on this guy, so to speak. So then what happens, literally the next day, according to the FBI, this guy in a white Tesla shows up at the guy's business. He tells him he owes money to the cartel, $400,000, and that the cartel's now involved, so you got to pay up. To see what he does, he basically shows up at his business out of nowhere. He says, "Hey, You owe money to the cartel. You got to pay up. On that same date, iCloud records show that at 12:19 p.m., prisoner A texted Gialamas, "Hey, let my guy handle everything. If anyone calls you to discuss anything besides Collector One, just refer it to him this way. They understand this is no joke and you mean business. He's going to get stuff done for you. Just don't talk to many people about it, and things are in motion." Gialamas replied, "Okay, got it. I won't discuss anything. I can tell he's getting nervous." Prisoner A says, "Things are going to start happening because they're going to start to panic." Exactly. Prisoner A says, "He thought you would get scared and drop it." Remember, the whole threat here from this victim was, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to turn you in to the feds. Well, so the response to that is to go to that victim and say, "Hey, you owe the cartel $500,000. Cartel's involved. So you're not going to go to the feds. You're going to pay up." He says, now that he hears someone came from out of town and mentions a cartel, that means it's serious. These were the last texts visible, okay, with prisoner A, likely indicating prisoner A's accomplice and Gialamas likely communicated on Telegram or by some other means to thwart law enforcement. At 4:40, Gialamas texts Collector 1, "Meet me at Graham." Collector 1 replied, "Okay. Text me when you're there." In 5 minutes at Graham. Collector 1 says, "Are you there?" "I'm here." "Okay, 2 minutes." November 16th, Gialamas texts Collector 1, "I'm going to be tied up till 8:30. Then meet me." Collector 1 replied, 10 minutes. "I'm here." Collector 1 replied, "On my way." November 17th, Collector 1 texts Gialamas, "Call me. We need to meet today." November 26th, 3 times in the morning, Victim 1 texts Gialamas, "Collector 1 cell phone number. Dean, Collector 1 is not answering. I'm leaving." And TD Ameritrade, think or swim platform for futures trading. On November 30th, 2023, according to Victim 1's interview with the FBI 2, remember, outside of Indiana, 2 unidentified Hispanic males with tattoos come to Victim 1's business. The Hispanic males tell Victim 1 that he has to pay the money he's owed. So you get it? So now it's later, 2 Hispanic men with tattoos show up at the same business to tell him he got to pay up. Now, are these Hispanic males actually cartel, or is this all just a game? Is the cartel involvement part of the ruse, or is it legit? I don't know. All right. I'm going to skip ahead a bit. It says, on December 2nd, Victim 1 received a call from an individual Victim 1 believed to be one of the above Hispanic males. Person said they would come to the business tomorrow to collect the money. After this call, Victim 1 decided first to call the police, Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2, and an attorney. I don't know why I'm getting balloons. What the hell? Okay, so like I said, December 2nd, the victim gets a call from one of these Hispanic males who says, "I'll be there tomorrow to collect the money." After the call, the victim calls the police, calls the FBI, and calls a lawyer. He also texts Gialamas that he called the FBI. which is confirmed in the iCloud. According to Victim One's report to FBI Agency 2, on December 3rd, 2023, Collector One called Victim One to advise that an unidentified male in a white Tesla came to Collector One's house, and Collector One recorded him on the ring camera. Prisoner A's accomplice went to Collector One's neighbors asking for Collector One's location and told the neighbors that Collector One scammed him out of $400,000. The ring cameras provided by Victim One to federal law enforcement agency 2. However, a person believed to be Prisoner A's accomplice, because he was wearing a blue vest, was observed coming to the front door of Collector One and then observed walking to a neighbor's house. So you see what they're doing now? Now they're sending these collectors. See, we got so many collectors. They're sending the accomplice of the prisoner, the collector, to the other collector's house. And they're not only they're showing up at his house about the $400,000, they're going to the neighbor's house. They want this money bad, right? All on film, right? On December 4th, 2023, Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2 interviewed Victim One again. Victim One advised Collector One called him the day before to say that the guy in the white Tesla went to Capri Restaurant looking for Collector One. There's Capri again. That's Rovito's restaurant. So now the guy in the blue vest and the white Tesla shows up at Capri looking for Collector One. Victor One remembered a conversation in November with Gialamas, in which Gialamas knew Collector One met up with and paid better at Capri. This shit is all going down at Capri. Victim One believed Gialamas gave that information to Prisoner A's accomplice in the white Tesla. Law Enforcement Agency 2 collected a video derived from Collector One's ring camera sent to Victim One of Gialamas visiting the house of Collector One, and Gialamas text, "Better call me." On December 5th, 2023, Filippo Rovito of Capri Restaurant texts Gialamas, "Let me know when you're available to come and talk." Gialamas replies, "I got tied up with work, should be there around 2:30. I'll text you when I'm on my way." Rovito replied, "I won't be around. I'll be here after 5:30. Gialamas replied, "Okay, I'll come then." At 1:53, Gialamas texts a screenshot of another payment to Zelle person B for $1,500 with a different confirmation. This indicates there was another Zelle payment for Prisoner A's accomplice at 2:15. Gialamas texts Rovito, "I think it's better if I just come tomorrow morning. Let me know which time's good for you." At 4:58, Victim One texts Gialamas, "Do you think to track the player's IP location? The site can do it. I also gave FBI the player's information. Stop sending people to see me and then tell them to stop calling." Gialamas screenshotted this conversation and sent it to his second phone. On December 6th, Rovito texts Gialamas, "I'll be there at 11. Gialamas replied, "Okay, I'll be there between 11:30 and 12. Rovito replied with thumbs up. At 5:24, Geraldamos texts Gialamas, "Send me Gigi's number." Gialamas replied, "Rovito's cell phone number." 6:29, Gialamas finally replied to Victim One, "I'm not sending anyone to see or call you. I want the money you and Collector One stole from me. Nothing more or less. Whoever you want, but I can also call so-and-so. A second-time offender gets 10 years. Not one. Victim 1 replied, and what did I do? 6:34, Gialamas screenshot the conversation with victim 1 and sent it to Gialamas' second phone. Hold on a minute, please. Okay, I sincerely apologize. You wouldn't believe my dog. My dog cleared out the room, and when I'm telling you, he farted. It hit me like a wall. It hit me like a cloud, like a brick wall. I was like, oh, gag. So my dog just ran me out of here, and I literally had to turn the fan on, find whatever I could to spray because, geez, I, it's thick. So forgive me. My nose was burning. Gosh, have mercy. I still can't. Just give me a moment, please. I'm trying to regain my senses, my composure here. Tell you what. And the funny thing, he was laying there sleeping. So, so he's laying there sleeping, and I can hear him snoring the whole time quietly. And I'm like, oh, he's being good. He's great. Well, apparently he's sleep farting. So he just derailed the entire program here. Sorry for that. But give me a second again, actually. Uh, now I need something to drink. God damn. Okay, y'all, I'm better. I've recovered. Recovered. Apologize. I surely didn't mean to derail the show, but tell you what, like a grown ass man in here. Jesus. Um, I'm gonna skip ahead to this highlighted portion here. Whew. Victim one advised Federal Law Enforcement Agency 2 that before victim one's previous gambling arrest, Gialamas told him in 2019 that he knew someone in the FBI Agency 2, the one we've been talking about, and that Gialamas knew victim one was being investigated. At that time, Gialamas told him not to contact him anymore. Did you catch that? I still can't breathe. Did you catch this? So now it's a different situation. So listen to this again, because I know it's hard to get off track. This says victim one advised the federal law enforcement agency that's outside of the Northern District of Indiana that before his previous gambling arrest, Gialamas had told him in 2019 that he knew someone in that FBI agency and that he knew the victim was being investigated, blah, 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 whatever. But the point being, he's advising that this guy says he knows someone in your agency. And it gets worse. Local Illinois law enforcement officer, Gialamas bookie. And boy, you guys are going to love this one. This is where it gets real deep right here. This gets real deep right here. Listen to this. I still can't breathe. On December 23rd, 2023, Bookie A texts Gialamas, 2023 Super Bowl, 3,500 a square, 25 squares being sold. Okay, that's what Bookie A is texting Gialamas. Every square gets 4 numbers. First quarter, 10,000. Halftime, 20,000. Reverse, 4,000. Third quarter, 10,000. Final score, 30,750. Reverse, 4,000. Gialamas replies, okay, count me in. Bookie A asks, are you still doing the online thing? Gialamas replied, yeah. Bookie A texts, I still have that account if you're interested, but they collect and meet once a month, which is good if you're down, lol. Stop there. Read the footnote, Prof. Oh, sure. According to the account, the phone number for Bookie A came back to a person living in Illinois. A Google search of the name and city returned results showing the name to be associated to a local Illinois police officer who left the police department in 2024. But in 2023, he was a local Illinois law enforcement officer and a bookie, from here on out referred to as Bookie A. You get it? Local Illinois law enforcement officer, Gialama's bookie. Where's court of public opinion? Come on, guys. Erica Morse, court of public opinion. 4 pits. New Day. So here we got a local cop in Illinois who's a cop and a bookie for Gialamas. But it gets better. On February 12th, this bookie cop asked Gialamas, please have runner A drop off the money today. I have to pay these people out tonight and in the morning. Goes through some more. But look at this, okay? Second paragraph. I forgot to highlight. I meant to highlight some of this. On April 29th of 2025, Bookie A, the former Illinois local cop, texts Gialamas, talk to my buddy. We can jump on your site. Have 20 guys as of now. I'm sure it's going to grow. So this cop, who's a bookie for Gialamas, has 20 guys. How many of them are cops, you think? Bookie A says, can we start out with per head and go from there? Totally agree. Do you want the players zeroed out every Monday automatically? That's the easiest way. Bookie A replied, yes, please, thanks. Later, Bookie A asked, what are the fees for life play props and casino? Gialamas replied, $10 per head. Add-ons, live betting, $5 per head. Player prop builder, $5 per head. Casino, 10% on losses. Bookie A replied, thanks. Bookie A is the cop with 20 that he's bringing with him. On May 9th, 2025, Gialamas told Gialamas' accomplice that guy sent someone to my house, some big biker guy. Some big biker. So now we got the bikers brought in. We've already got the feds. Okay, let me pull this down from. We've already got the feds involved in a bad way. We've got some local Illinois cops involved as bookies in a bad way, right? And now we got what? Oh, and I forgot to mention. Let's start over. Scratch that. We got the feds. We got a couple feds involved in a bad way in this criminal conspiracy. We got a local cop in Illinois with 20 under him involved as a bookie in this scheme. We got the cartel involved in this, right? Allegedly, cartel money and strong arms on the street. And now we got a biker, some big biker guy. Giuliano's accomplice replied, dude, what? What did Pav say to that? I'd take the wire back and I would send your guys and explain how this is now over. Fuck that. That's unreal. I'll call the hotel and ask for his room number. Giuliano replied, okay, thanks. Get the info for me. I will. Find out if he has an office that he goes to for work. About 7 minutes later, Giuliano sent the following image to Giuliano's accomplice. This appears to be an image of Giuliano's second phone in which Giuliano had a conversation with an unknown individual. That unknown individual sent a message to Better H. Drop the situation with our mutual friend from Naperville. You guys know where Naperville is? Or things are going to escalate to a place with who and what you don't want to deal with. He is under my wing, so let things go and enjoy what you made. If I hear anything else about this thing, we'll come to see you. Remember, you made the first move. Giuliano responded to the unknown individual. Thank you. Let's see if he responds. Unknown individual replies, I called him both numbers. He didn't pick up. He'll understand, or he may call back. About an hour later, Giuliano reminded his accomplice, get the info. Okay. On May 11, 2025, Giuliano texts his accomplice, try and get that info for Better H. Prick, in my case, in case my guys have to go see him. I think he got the message things will get bad for him if he pursues it, but just in case. Accomplice, I will. He went private on Instagram pretty quick. May 19th, Bookie A, remember that's the cop, text Giuliano, send me over your website with the bogus login and I'm going to send it to person C and ask him to take a look. I'm going to ask him to promote us and dump the other site. Let them know what we have. Let them know we have same-day payouts. Okay, GardenCityBets.com. May 22nd, Giuliano's text Bookie A, the cop, the same article sent to him by Giuliano's accomplice about Better H. It said, that's him. Bookie A, the cop, replies, I'll need a date of birth for us to run his name. This cop with 20 under him says, yeah, give me his name. I now need a date of birth to run his name, for us to run his name. Nothing will pop up without a date of birth. Does it sound like this cop who stopped working in 2024 is still able to be a cop or at least to run names? And keep in mind, he says us. I'll need a date of birth for us to run his name. What does that sound like to you guys? On May 23rd, 2025, Giuliano sent James Gerald Damos the same article about Better H, and Giuliano texts his accomplice, ask your buddy again for the info. I also sent it to my local Illinois law enforcement detective, Bookie A. Oh, so he's not just a cop, he's a detective to see what he can find. Giuliano replies, he said if we can get a birth date, it would help. See if you can find a birthday. So on May 25th, 2025, Giuliano texts this detective, birth date, date of birth. Bookie A replied, Better H name, date of birth. Giuliano replied, yes, I think he lives in, and gives the location. Bookie A, the detective, replies, okay, I'll send that info out and hopefully it's the same address that you got so it's accurate. Later, Bookie A text, location 2 keeps popping up when I do my search. When I do my search, my guy I trust on vacation won't be back till next week. His address as of April 2025 is coming up as location 2. It appears that the detective, Bookie A, used publicly available information to obtain information for location 2. Gialamas replied, I think he sold that last year or rents it out. I think he lives in location 1 in a $2.5 million condo. Have your guy run it on Tuesday. On June 22nd, 2025, Gialamas' accomplice says, what is Better H's offer to you, by the way? Gialamas replied, he said, if I in pay, it would get me involved in his business. All right. So that covers that section. So now we got a local Illinois, allegedly, detective, allegedly, who's running the debtor's information through the systems of law enforcement to target that individual on behalf of the mob. Is this coming together in your mind yet? And it keeps getting worse. Number 5, Gialamas has someone in federal law enforcement agency 2. In 2023, Victim 1 advised federal law enforcement agency 2 that before Victim 1's previous gambling arrest, Gialamas told him in 2019 that Gialamas knew someone in the Fed agency 2, that Gialamas knew Victim 1 was being investigated. At that time, Gialamas told the victim not to contact him anymore. A review of iCloud for Gialamas revealed that on July 29, 2025, Gialamas' accomplice texted him, did you talk to your Fed buddy? That's a little concerning. On July 30th, 2025, Gialamas replied, yeah, he says, it's nothing. He said if it was anything, he would have known about it. He thinks a better threatening to turn himself in to law enforcement is using as an excuse maybe not to pay. Gialamas' accomplice replied, he is, which is hilarious because he called to tell you they asked about the money you paid him a year ago. Scumbag. Now I have to deal with it. It never ends. On August 14th, 25, Gialamas' accomplice asked him, is this guy serious? Gialamas replied, better. Threatening to turn himself in to law enforcement is gonna fuck me just like my Fed guy said he would. Same bullshit story. What the fuck? I don't fuck anyone. Why do I always get fucked? Gialamas continued, I'm the biggest jagoff thinking they are honest like me. Now I'm really fucked. Gialamas' accomplice asked, turn himself in for what? He's full of shit. Gialamas replied, it's all bullshit. That's exactly what my Fed guy told me he would say. Hey, does that sound familiar? It's all bullshit anyway. It's all bullshit. That's exactly what my Fed law enforcement agency 2 guy told me he would say. It's all bullshit anyway. I've heard that phrase before. I wonder where I've heard that before. I don't know. Maybe I'm just misremembering. Seems like I heard this phrase before. It's all bullshit anyway. On June 19, 2025, Gialamas texts his accomplice, ABC, Gerald Damos is a jagoff. He's only sending me $5K. Gialamas' accomplice replied, fuck him, man. Gialamas text, he owes me $272,000. I'm so sick of this. I'm owed over $10 million on money I already paid out. Such bullshit. The other Florida jagoff sends me $1,000 a week on $1.4 million. Oh, so there's a Florida jagoff who owes $1.4 million. Does this sound like chump change they're playing with here? On June 26, Gialamas texts his accomplice, the Florida guy I'm reaching out to next week, telling him $1,000 a week isn't going to work anymore. He needs to up his game or I'm going to have to turn it over. Then maybe you text him next week after I talk to him. Jared Damos is crying. He's getting killed. Will sell me somewhere between 2 to 5. And then they continue on about some of these debts, okay? But let's bring to the bottom of the page. He says, "What's the Indiana guy's restaurant again? I'll leave a review. He's a scumbag. Fuck him paying us nothing every week. We cracked him for over 200 after he said, I'll pay you what you win. After that, he lowered it from 10 to 5 to 2. See, these are all thousands of dollars." Gialamas replied, "Don't say anything about gambling on the review." Gialamas' accomplice replied, "I won't. Owner's a thief." Gialamas replied, "Geno's in Merrillville." That's Gerald Damos, right? Geno's. I'm going to put that every day. Steakhouse. And they own Paragon Restaurant in Hobart. On July 9th, 2025, Gialamas texts his accomplice, "That Vegas fucking prick says he's paying me next week." Gialamas' accomplice replies, "No, F that. Send your guy." Gialamas replies, "He fucks me. He will be sorry. I told the agent why Tuesday I paid him 100 last week." The agent? Is this his Fed guy? On July 11th, Gialamas texts his accomplice, "That jagoff kid in Florida is only sending me 1,000 today. They aren't taking me serious." Accomplice replies, "No, need to change this. The routine isn't working. If they push me to my limit, they'll see what happens. I'm real close." um, and they start going through escalating series of threats and ideas, like let's F his life. Okay. This guy's a scumbag. If I don't get it this week, I'm sending my guys. Okay. I paid this effing a-hole 2 weeks ago $100,000. I even borrowed 50 from you to pay this piece of shit. On July 31st, Gialamas' accomplice texts him, "I got a phone. We need to get our money. What zip code should I make it from? I can kill Gerald Damos." Gialamas replied, "Not Illinois." Gialamas' accomplice asked, "Florida?" Gialamas replied, "Do like Alabama or something." "No, they know I'm in Florida." Gialamas replied, "New York? Think maybe tied to people? New York it is. Let me text the effing asshole in Mokina. What did Jersey say?" Later on, Gialamas' accomplice texts, "I should text Florida and Pizza Man. I should drive to Hobart and flip this asshole's tables." Um, and let me see. I'm going to skip some of this. Over here, we're going to go to Gialamas' accomplice. Text Gialamas on August 13th, 2025. "Did Vegas actually pay you?" "No, he canceled on my guy. I'm so sick of all these motherfuckers." Wow, just wow. What a piece of shit. You should have this guy beat him up. He actually deserves it. 2 hours later, Gialamas replies, "Check Telegram." Replies, "Got it." Okay. On August 14th, Gialamas' accomplice asks, "Did he call you?" Gialama says, "Yeah, he said there's a warrant out for his arrest and he's turning himself in. He thinks it's for threatening, harassing someone who owes him money. It's a local police, not federal. Said he'll call me after he gets back." Okay, this is nothing. Told him I really need the money this week. He said, "Let me see what I can do." On September 6th, accomplice texts Gialamas, "ABC, that's Geronimo's, Denver, Florida, and Pizza Guy can all die. What a joke. We got him 50. Any luck?" "No, I promise. I'm trying. He's not going to play, and he's giving us another 50 to take off. I'm getting nothing from people I've asked. I give up. F this shit. Get your guys and collect it. I'm done stressing out." September 18. "Want me to text Florida?" Gialamas replies, "I'm going to give him one more chance to call me." Gialamas' accomplice replied, "Won't do shit, I think. Let me just scare him and then he'll text you." Gialamas financial information, unexplained income. Gialamas is employed by McCormick and Company. For 2025, Gialamas received approximately $230,000 in gross wages from McCormick. Banking data shows $142,000 in deposits from McCormick and Company to Gialamas. Gialamas is also listed manager of DAPA Capital, a company believed to be owned and controlled by him. DAPA is listed as a financial services investment company. A broker check by FINRA indicated no results for either DAPA or Dean Gialamas when searching for professional licenses. DAPA Capital, remember, that's a shell company used by Gialamas in his money laundering scheme. Other than McCormick, Gialamas received approximately $1,358,000 in payroll credits from Company A from February 2022 to December 2025. Company A is listed as an animal specialty services durable goods paper mill in Illinois. Prior executives for Company A indicate individual A, better known with Gialamas and listed in Gialamas' phone under the contact name Redacted Boom. In addition, Company A, Gialamas has received $163,000 from another Company B Consulting and $332,000 for Company C Solutions. Both businesses also believed to be controlled by individual A. Do you see the extreme amount of money? We're talking about millions of dollars here, all being run through these shell companies and LLCs and shit, money laundering. Gialamas also has automatic checking deductions for Company D payroll, totaling $195,000 between 2021 and 24. This payroll company appears to be accounting, auditing, and bookkeeping company. It's believed that a relative of Gialamas works at this company. When analyzing bank records for 5 accounts of Gialamas or DAPA Capital that were subject to grand jury subpoena, it was determined that Gialamas has approximately $12.5 million in deposits or credit items into these accounts between 2020 through January of 2026. $12 million in 5 years. Gialamas received 32 Zelle transfers, totaling $35,000 from James Gerodemos, and sent 7 Zelle transactions totaling $13,000 to Gerodemos. In addition, Gialamas has paid nominee entities and individuals in the Gerodemos gambling organizations, such as Midwest Fireworks. Okay, Midwest Fireworks. Co-defendants Bassam Ibrahim and Athena Gerodemos. That's the daughter of James Gerodemos, totaling $255,000. Several of these transactions were identified in the money laundering allegations in the indictment. Based on text messages, Person A is a partner of Gialamas in the gambling enterprise. Transactions between Gialamas and this Person A total $669,000, mostly going from Gialamas to Person A, most notably $465,000 in wire transfers. Gialamas has also received Zelle transfers directly from at least 4 different identified bettors who noted their online betting account numbers for Gialamas' illegal gambling site, Garden City Bets. In total, Gialamas has received approximately 2,022 Zelle transfers between December 2020 and January 2026, receiving over $1 million and sending over $490,000. Then they go into checks, okay? And they go over several checks here. And I find really interesting this schematic here. So this is the money laundering enterprise schematic. Check this out. You can see here You got your better who's paying out $245,899. And look at how they break this up, because see, they don't want to move this large amount of money all in a lump sum to draw any red flags or attention in the banking industry. So they've got this $245,899 they're trying to send. And you can see how it goes here. So some goes in a personal check, 28,000. Okay. There's $49,000 broken over uh, 4 different checks going to a fireworks company. Then there's $54,000 going to 5 personal checks to various bank accounts for Gerald Damos. Okay, then there's a $34,000 personal check going to Gerald Damos. Then there's a $20,000 broken over a few checks going over to unindicted co-conspirator 1. Then there's $35,000 payment in a personal check going to Ibrahim. And then there's a another $25,000 going to someone else. So it says Chris Gerald Damos is wiring $250,000 to Company D. Okay. Elias Gerald Damos received $40,000 from Company D for return on investment. Remember, Elias is your financial or your investment banker for this organization. It says Gialamas received $379,000 from Company D, sending $1.125 million to Company D. Additionally, receiving $30,000 from Company E. And it shows here a schematic for a personal check to Company D for $1 million. It shows Company D sending out payments, $379,000 to DAPA Capital, broken over 12 checks. Okay. And that goes to Gia Lamas. 1.125 million goes over 2 checks back to Company D. There's a $40,000 check going to Elias Gerald Damos. And then there's a $250,000 wire going from Chris Gerald Damos back to Company D. And this is all your money laundering scheme. Okay. It says Gialamas also has several transactions with Person 2, an online personality famous for his gambling podcast. What? This Person 2, who is a famous podcaster, is also involved with a large-scale Midwest car dealership. It says Gialamas has received approximately $1.2 million from this famous podcaster and sent nearly $1 million back to this podcaster. Most of these transactions are labeled car or car restoration. So now we got a podcaster here who's involved in this money laundering scheme under the banner of car restoration. And based upon all of the above information, it appears that the defendant lied to probation in his bond report interview, where he only claimed to have income from McCormick. This is money laundering 101. As indicated, the weight of all this evidence is overwhelming. The above evidence, remember what we stated at the beginning, comes directly from witness interviews with the FBI, iCloud messages, Google Drives, recorded phone calls under the wiretapping, and all of that evidence we mentioned at the beginning. There was like 25 terabytes or something like this. The geofencing, there's all that evidence, right? All between Dean Gialamas and his co-conspirators. This bond report accurately documents Gialamas' criminal history as known to the probation department at the time his initial report was prepared. However, based upon the evidence, it's clear that Gialamas' criminal conduct is vastly more expansive than was documented in the bond report. Even more expansive than is identified in the original indictment that we covered in the previous episode. Seriousness of danger to any person or the community. Given Dean Gialamas's conduct as alleged in the indictment and combined with the additional information above, uh, it's abundantly clear that Gialamas has no respect for the law or law enforcement officers he appears to have corrupted. Remember, we have already covered two feds, right? A local cop who's also working in coordination with other cops to target these debtors. All of this evidence, combined with Gialamas's extortion to collect his debts, if released, Gialamas would represent a present danger not only to his extortion victims and their families, but to the community at large. Additionally, the large amount of unexplained income provides Gialamas the means to engage in, uh, or as he did before, to hire someone to accomplish any illegal activity he wishes to engage in. Based upon this conduct, Gialamas also represents a substantial risk that if he's released, he would obstruct or attempt to obstruct justice, threaten, injure, intimidate, or attempt to any prospective witnesses or co conspirators. While the defendant has surrendered his passport, this does not alleviate the significant risk of flight that he poses. A passport is not needed to exit the United States to Mexico by foot or vehicle. The same is true for Canada, nor is a passport necessary to board a cruise ship if the cruise ship begins and ends in the United States. Additionally, for those of Greek descent, dual citizenship exists and poses an impossible extradition hurdle, as evidenced with Mr. Ansat, Mr. Soforis, and Mr. Kolinsas. All are fugitives from the Northern District of Indiana who fled to Greece and have avoided prosecution or sentencing in the district because they fled to Greece and Greece is not going to extradite them. Greek citizenship constitutes an inherent legal right of individuals born to at least one Greek parent. The right, by extension, by operation of law, however, it is formally recognized by the Greek state only upon registration in the records of a Greek municipality. Such registration constitutes the legal basis for the recognition of citizenship and serves as official proof of Greek citizenship. A Greek birth certificate does not in itself constitute proof of municipal registration, nor does it necessarily establish that the individual has been registered in a Greek municipality, since Greek citizenship is not acquired merely by virtue of birth in Greece. Accordingly, applicants claiming Greek citizenship through descent are generally required to submit proof their parent is or registered in a Greek municipality. Only in certain cases where the claim is made through a grandparent or great grandparent and direct municipal registration cannot be established, may alternative evidence of Greek origin be considered, such as registration in the mail registry, civil records, older Greek passports, or their official documents indicating that the ancestor was a Greek citizen. Such cases are examined individually by competent authorities. For individuals residing outside of Greece, the process is initiated through the competent Greek consular authority, which serves as a primary point of contact for applicants outside of Greece. The consulate receives and reviews the application, provides guidance on the applicable legal procedure, verifies the supporting documentation, and forwards a complete file to the competent authorities in Greece. In certain cases, the consulate may also conduct interviews or request supplementary documentation in support of the application. It should be emphasized, however, the consulate does not determine citizenship. The authority to recognize or confirm Greek citizenship lies exclusively with the competent municipal authorities and the Greek Ministry of the Interior. Gialamas is well traveled, as demonstrated by the following certified Custom Border Patrol records. And here you can see some of that record. and it gives a summary in a spreadsheet of the locations visited. Let me pull that up for you in a zoom in. Now look at here. Now this is Gialamas's history or summary of locations he has traveled. Okay, check this out. These are the airports: O'Hare International, Nassau International, Tampa, Florida. Tampa. Did I exaggerate that loudly enough? Tampa. Milan. Hewan. This looks like Zak Zogjan. Paris. Juneau. Juneau. Juneau, Alaska. Douglas, Charlotte, Los Cabos, Ordaz, Zurich, Vancouver, Dallas, Fort Worth, Panama, London, San Jose, Munich, Qatar, Cancun, Miami, Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, Istanbul, right? How do you say that? Reykjavik, Dorval, Montreal, Houston, Madrid, Frankfurt, Liberia, Anchorage, Alaska. Ketchikan, Orlando, Vancouver, Toronto, Port Saline, Jose Marti, Tokyo. Look at this guy's travel history. Unbelievable. He's a globe hopper, right? This is all the places this guy has been in and out of over the years. Given the extensive world travels of Dean Gialamas, it would be hard to believe that he does not have numerous contacts outside of the United States, as well as cash reserves, gold, or cryptocurrency, which could be accessed once outside of the United States, given the amount of undocumented cash that he has access to. Based on the foregoing evidence, the length of a likely sentence and the likelihood of, what does this say? Additional Rico charges. Again, for the special ones in the back who like to sit in the back and deny all reality, remember, this is the federal U.S. attorney, Adam Mildred, right? This is the Fed attorney, Adam Mildred, here on behalf of the United States, referencing the likelihood of additional RICO charges. Remember when we said you got a RICO? This is a RICO case. This is why I titled this Major RICO Bust in Indiana. This is a forthcoming RICO. This is a criminal conspiracy with 22 named defendants and untold number of others involving corrupt federal law enforcement officers and corrupt local law enforcement officers, money laundering, globetrotting. This reaches to all parts of the globe. And remember when it first said, let me go back to that. I believe it was the first couple pages where it references the locations, right? It says that these companies here are run out of, oh, geez, I probably won't be able to find it. I think it's Panama and Costa Rica. Yeah, who knows? I won't be able to find it. Anyhow, you got this. These are tentacles, right? Rico. The government requests that Gialamas's bond be revoked and that he be detained on grounds of flight risk and danger to the community. Okay. Now, to refresh you guys' memory, remember this is your original indictment here. This is your list of the 22 individuals named in this indictment. And I wanted to reiterate to you the places that are involved, right? Gino's Steakhouse. We already discussed this, and it's well known now at this point in this story. You got Gino's Steakhouse, number one here. You got Paragon Restaurant, number three. Okay, here. And you got Cherries and Berries Pancake House in Chesterton. And remember, you also have Capri named in Burr Ridge in all of this. Okay, this is another document I wanted to share some highlights from. Okay, and this particular document was filed on May 4th. This is called the government's motion for detention, and this is in the case of Gerodemos. Okay, this is not Gialamas's case. This here is the Gerodemos case. And it says on April 16th, 2026, Gerodemos and 21 other individuals were indicted by federal grand jury in a 28 count indictment on various charges, right? So let me point something out to you here. It says that Gerodemos here is indictment or charge his indictment in his indictment he's charged as follows: illegal gambling, Hobbs Act extortion, okay, conspiracy, collection of extensions of credit by extortionate means, Hobbs Act extortion, uh, extortionate means, Hobbs Act extortion, 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 extortionate means, and conspiracy to commit money laundering, uh, 3 counts. The Gerodemos Gambling Organization was an extensive organization headed by Gerodemos and Dean Gialamas, who we're just reading about, who operated this large ranging illegal gambling enterprise spanning numerous states and, when necessary, used extortion and threats or extortionate means to collect its winnings. The Gerodemos organization used at least 2 offshore illegal gambling sites to support its betting business. These sites were controlled by both James Gerodemos and Dean Gialamas. Okay. Oh, there we go. The sites are believed to be located in Costa Rica and Panama. Okay. ABC Wagering and Garden City Bets, Costa Rica and Panama. Okay. The evidence against James Gerodemos comes from the following source. Consider this in context to the sources we mentioned previously with Dean Gialamas. The sources are dozens of hours of surreptitious recordings made by an undercover officer approximately 15 terabytes of data from the target's phones recovered via 30 iCloud and Google Drive search warrants, including images and text messages between the targets themselves, as well as the victims and uh, as well as the victims, subscriber and phone call records for all of the targets. Remember, there were 30. Was it 30? No, all 22 targets mentioned in this indictment had their cell phone records subpoenaed. Plus, there were all the search warrants for all the cell towers and geofence data for all 22 targets, dozens of grand jury subpoenas, okay, between the co-conspirators or targets, the victims of of these conspirators, and the bettors in themselves, and recordings of Gerald Damos and Basim Ibrahim. Okay. And remember, as mentioned before, Gerald Damos recently traveled to Greece and was photographed with another decades long fugitive from Indiana who's currently living in Greece, Frank Colentsas. Okay. It says, Gerald Damos himself, as well as several of the co-defendants, have been recorded in this investigation discussing how Gerald Damos paid previous Lake County Sheriff John Bunick $10,000 a month to operate illegal video poker machines throughout Northwest Indiana in the early 1990s. So that's a bullet point for you, okay? Gerald Damos, as well as several of the other co-defendants, had been recorded in this investigation discussing how he had previously paid Lake County Sheriff John Bunick $10,000 a month as a payoff to be able to operate his illegal video poker machines throughout Northwest Indiana. Now, this is Lake County Sheriff, another dirty cop who's drawn into this story. Bunick, or Bunchich, I don't know how to say his name, was later convicted of unrelated public corruption charges and sentenced to 12 and a half years in prison. Bunick has since been released and on at least one occasion was observed since his release in the presence of Gerald Damos, who was previously paying him $10,000 a month as sheriff of Lake County to look the other way. And here's the spiciest paragraph in this entire goddamn story I'm telling you tonight. Listen to this. For over a year, the UCE undercover employee routinely met with James Gerald Damos and his associates, observing the structure, organization, procedures, and accomplices involved in the Gerald Damos's gambling operation. So what is this saying? This is saying that Gerald Damos had employed someone, a Fed, as a dishwasher is the word on the street. Okay, the word on the street, he employed this dishwasher or someone in the kitchen at Paragon and Geno's, who not only was an undercover employee, a Fed, working undercover, washing dishes and helping out in the kitchen, but this undercover Fed had befriended and ingratiated himself to Gerald Damos and his crew, and was regularly sitting at the table, enjoying meals, having discussions, not only with Gerald Damos, but with other co conspirators in the restaurant at the time that all this shit was going down and these conversations were happening. Furthermore, this undercover Fed was gathering intelligence on the structure, the organization, their procedures, and accomplices involved in the entire fucking organization. So remember, when we're talking about the sources here, you've got all those sources, the 15 terabytes, the geofencing of all parties involved. You've got all the iCloud, the Google Drive. You've got the cell phone company or the cell phone providers' records that were subpoenaed. You got all of this shit. You got the FBI's prior investigation in Illinois. You got all of this shit brought into this. Plus, you got an undercover agent who got himself hired into the restaurants at Geno's and at Paragon and was sitting there with those guys, befriending them, gathering intel. Remember what I showed you on this page here in the previous thing. Likelihood of additional RICO charges, says Adam L. Mildred, U.S. Attorney. This is a sting. Okay, this is a sting operation in Lake County, Northwest Indiana, with ties to the Chicago outfit, with ties to Vegas, with ties to Tampa, Florida, with ties to all sorts of other out of country players. This is big. Remember, you got the corrupt cop over in, or detective, the corrupt detective from Illinois who had 20 that he brought with him, which is likely to include some cops. That undercover detective, that former dirty detective who was running the names and date of births of or dates of birth of the debtors. Do you all see why I am focusing on this and what I'm trying to point out to you? It says regarding James Gerald Damos's iCloud on May 23rd, 2025, a search warrant was served upon Apple for the iCloud records of Gerald Damos and the cell phone that was used to communicate with the undercover employee at his restaurant. This search warrant recovered thousands of text messages between Gerald Damos and many of the defendants, as well as the stored images. These evidentiary bonanza forms the factual basis for the allegations in this indictment. Additional evidence was also obtained after issuing search warrants for iCloud and Google Drive accounts for all defendants. So you see what I mean? So when it comes to this undercover employee, the undercover employee who had infiltrated this organization was working in the restaurants, was communicating by phone with this guy, and the search warrant was served on Apple for the phone that he was communicating with this undercover employee. And it resulted in additional thousands of text messages between Gerald Damos and many of the co-conspirators. Okay. And it goes through a bunch of the bullshit. Okay. And we've already been through a lot of this in the initial indictment, but it's expanded upon here. Okay. I'm not going to waste much time going through this, but this is where it's bringing in Rovito. Okay. Gigi Rovito searching in the Hard Rock Cafe in Florida for this guy. And it goes and goes, you know. Now it says seriousness of danger to any person or community. Given James Gerald Damos's conduct as alleged in the indictment and supported by all of the above evidence, his criminal history in violation of state bond conditions, It's evident that he has no respect for the law or state court's authority to control his behavior while on bond. If released, Geraldamus would represent a present danger not only to his extortion victims and their families, but to the community at large. Based upon this conduct, Geraldamus also presents a substantial risk that if released, he would obstruct or attempt to obstruct justice or threaten, injure, or intimidate, or attempt to threaten, injure, or intimidate prospective witnesses. Although a defendant's international travel is minimal, surrendering defendant's passport does not alleviate the significant risk of flight a defendant poses. A passport's not needed to exit the U.S. to Mexico by foot or vehicle. The same is true for Canada. Nor is a passport necessary to board a cruise ship to foreign countries if the cruise begins and ends in the U.S. Additionally, for those of Greek descent, dual citizenship exists and poses impossible extradition hurdles, as evidenced with Mr. Anast, Mr. Soforis, and Mr. Kolintsas. All are fugitives from the Northern District of Indiana and fled to Greece to have avoided persecution or sentencing in the district. Defendants' custom border patrol travel records are as follows. The summary of locations visited is as follows. Okay. And I'm sorry, that doesn't look very clear, does it? Let me read it to you. I'll do that. That's all I can do at the moment. Let's see, let me go read it to you so that at least I can tell you what's there. It lists O'Hare, Nassau, William Hartsfeld, and Queen Alia International. It says during his most recent trip just 2 months ago, James Geraldemos traveled to Greece. While in Greece, James Geraldemos chose to keep company with one of the few fugitives from this district, Frank Kolintsas, pictured front right. And here you can see Geraldemos and Kolintsas in a group photograph having dinner. If not detained, there's little doubt that fugitive Kolintsas would be James Geraldamos's permanent dinner partner in Greece. The risk of flight is great indeed. Based on the foregoing, the government requests this defendant be detained on the grounds of flight risk and a danger to the community. And this is also Adam Mildred, U.S. Attorney for Northern District of Indiana in Hammond. Okay. So that about does it as far as what I wanted to share with you regarding this major RICO that's underway in Lake County, northern or northwestern Indiana and Chicago. Now, remember, in the previous episode regarding Earl Mayo, we discussed how that centers in Lake County and in Gary, Indiana. Okay. There's an interesting thing about this I want to share with you. Let me see if I can let me see if I pull this up. I didn't have it ready to go. Let me see. We're going to go with a. Now, this is going to be spicy. Let's see if I can get it going here. because you're not going to believe this if I can actually get it pulled up. Come on, man. It keeps glitching out. Let's see. Here we go. There we go. You're not going to believe this, I swear. Okay. Here we go. Come on, Prof. Make it happen. Okay, can you see this? Unbelievable here. This says the daughter of James Gerald Damos, who is accused of operating an illegal gambling business, has elicited former Lake County Sheriff Roy Dominguez to help defend her against related federal charges. Do you see this? The daughter of James Gerald Demas has hired former Lake County Sheriff Roy Dominguez to help her defend against these federal charges. So she hired the guy who ran the campaign for the person that won the primary for sheriff, Major Jerry Williams. Look at his button here. Look at his button. Do you see how this ties into what I've been trying to instruct you guys on? Look at the button. Okay, do you see the button? Major Jerry Williams for sheriff. The daughter of James Gerald Damos has now hired former Lake County Sheriff Roy Dominguez to help her defend against these federal charges, and that's the same guy who's helped Major Jerry Williams win the primary. And Major Jerry Williams is the father of Earl Mayo, which is the guy we just talked about that was trafficking the firearms, allegedly, in New Chicago, right? And I was telling you how Major Jerry Williams is not only running for sheriff of Lake County to take over Lake County, but he's also he had been appointed by Doug Carter to take over the police department in Gary. We all know that what happens when people have a lot of money, they're going to get probation and no jail time because there's politics in the court. You know, they work together. Everybody's got to watch everybody else. As the players are looking to beat the casino, the dealers are watching the players. The boxmen are watching the dealers. The floormen are watching the boxmen. The pit boss is watching the floormen. The shift boss watching the pit boss. Casino manager watching the shift boss. I'm watching the casino manager, and the eye in the sky is watching us all. You see? She's innocent. Bah ha ha. Yes, the feds just made the mistake about her having any part after years of investigating. And Dominguez, really, he had his own problems with the feds all over him when he was sheriff. Figures, they stick together. Lake County corruption never stops. Bruh. Bruh. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see what I'm getting at with this entire fucking thing? The Major Jerry Williams for sheriff, daughter of Gerald Demos, hires former Lake County Sheriff Roy Dominguez, to help her defend against the feds. Earl Mayo, Jerry Williams, Roy Dominguez, Doug Carter, Jerry Holman, Northwest Indiana, dirty cops, dirty feds, big money, firearm trafficking, drug trafficking, human trafficking. Is this indictment the thread to pull on to take down this whole corrupt enterprise? I guess we will see. It's very, very interesting things taking place. So, like I said, uh, that about wraps it up for this update on this case. I think there's going to be more. I really do. So I hope you all enjoyed that. That was a major Rico bust in Indiana, part two. And as I mentioned, please make sure you go check out part one, which was a little bit ago. We did part one, major Rico bust in Indiana, Greek Mafia. Then we did the, what did I call it? Indiana State Police humiliated as another dirty cop exposed. Very important show. And that's the one covering Earl Mayo, Jerry Williams, and Doug Carter, and all that's going on with that. And now, tonight's show, Major Rico Bust in Indiana Part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. And I know it's a lot to wrap your mind around, but please go back over it, listen to them again if you're trying to get a handle on it. And you'll start to see the thread that connects all of this and how it's very concerning. Keep in mind, this goes back some years, at a minimum 3 to 5 years. They've been doing this. And this is coming from the feds on down. This is not a local investigation that's being prosecuted. This is a federal investigation that has been going for years. It's a sting, and it's been ongoing for years. And remember what it said in there. We have unnamed other parties who have not yet been indicted as a part of this. So those indictments may come, and as Mr. Mildred said, there's a likelihood of a RICO. I want you to take a really good look at the northwestern corner of Indiana, how that ties to Vegas, to Florida, to Michigan, to the East Coast, to Canada, to Alaska, and who knows where out of the country. Anyhow, look, to be honest with you, I expected to have a talk. I wanted to talk about some other stuff, but I think I'll skip it tonight because my voice is shot. This was harder to get through than I thought it was going to be. And to be honest with you, the dog fart, I think the dog fart scorched my throat and sinuses because Um, my voice is feeling tired and rough, but I hope you enjoyed that and found it interesting. And again, thank you to Erica Morris for assisting me or helping me to get these documents together. It's a lot, and it's not the easiest thing to do. But boy, there's some good information. So it's something for you to consider. Keep this going in the back of your mind as we continue to watch things unfold here in Indiana. And I think it's going to continue to be interesting. And I think it's not just Indiana. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things continue to unfold here. But I want to thank everybody, especially Who's Her Daddy here. Thank you, Prof, for exposing this on your platform. But thank you, sir. And I have great respect for you. And also, Trial Junkie, great respect for you. Thank you very much, Trial Junkie. I hope you guys are putting together the uh, the story that I'm telling here. I'm trying to cover this in a way that's relatable. And so hopefully you enjoy it. If you're new here, please do me a favor. Leave your comments down below in the comment section. Even if you missed the live and you're on the replay, hey, I appreciate hearing from you because we hear from people all the time through my emails or the comments on the channel or the Facebook. Um, I hear people, even the dog trying to gaslight. The dog did gas me up this evening. Yeah, I needed a gas mask, but the I appreciate hearing from you because we need to hear from you, especially if you're from Indiana. I want to hear from you. But if you're new here, I'd also love to hear from you. If you're interested in the gangsters, I recommend checking out Original Gangster News. Scott Bernstein, he's a good channel. He's pretty interesting. He knows the field, so he's pretty interesting to watch. Also, Chuck Goody or Gowdy over at NBC 5, I believe it is, in Illinois. Chuck Gowdy's covering this pretty well. Scott Bernstein's covering it pretty well, and yours truly, the Prof, is on top of this. Um, but yeah, for you new folks, please leave us some comments down below and also support the channel. Everyone, please do support the channel. We need it. We have Cash App, Venmo, Super Chats, Super Thanks. I have an ongoing GoFundMe, which is available. So whatever pathway suits you best, if you'd like to financially support, appreciate your support for the channel in that way. Otherwise, just hitting the like, subscribe, and leaving comments down below truly does support my efforts here, and I truly do appreciate it. I've loved seeing this community grow and seeing the community of like-minded, compassionate, and critical thinking individuals come here and give their input. I truly appreciate it. And go find me on Facebook if you don't mind. I don't recall the name of my Facebook page, but I got one. It's called something like the Prof. What's the Prof podcast? Okay. Hey, I can link it here. So let's see. I can give you the link if you want to check me out on Facebook. Sorry about that. Come on. You can go to the Prof podcast. And Deb's putting up my pathways here. So we got Cash App, Coffee for Prof, Venmo, the Prof. And as I mentioned, if you want to follow me on Facebook, there's the Prof podcast over at Facebook. Appreciate everyone coming. I'm loving the interaction over there at Facebook. Anyhow, thank you for being here. Hug your kids, hug your wife. All right, take care of each other. Try to relax. Take care of yourself. Do some self-care. You out there on those YouTube streets, take in the drama. Take it in. See it for yourself. Make your own opinions and figure out what's going on in this community. I don't have to tell you. Smart people can see it for themselves. And Deb is also reminding us here that I have a Substack. It's readtheprof.substack.com. Anything that I cover here, I generally go to Substack and I write out my thoughts. And not only do I write out my thoughts in the form of articles, but I include the receipts that you need to see to take my written word and compare it with the evidence in form of receipts, just like I do here on the screen as I do the live stream. So appreciate all of that. Appreciate seeing you, and I hope to see you again. Okay. And so with that being said, I'll put some of our chatters comments on the screen, and I'll be out of here. And I hope to see you soon.